Hello, this is Ralph K. Ginorio. Give me a moment, a few minutes, and I'll try to give you an idea worth considering. In this 2012 election, the most consequential in living memory perhaps in our lifetimes, there's something on the line besides our own relationship to our body and America's relationship to the rest of the world. I guess to start, the word of the day is narcissist. Now, I don't know if you've ever met a narcissist, but a narcissist, God bless them, genuinely believes that they are the bright, shining center of the universe. Just ask them. They'll tell you. And in their actions, they will indicate this through a callousness towards others, just lack of interest, lack of empathy, lack of regard for the feelings or even the reality of other human beings. A narcissist is someone who really does not see reality through any lens other than I, the ego, the self. Now, a group of American mental health professionals, which has long considered narcissism to be among the lists of mental illness, are in the process of actually taking narcissism out of the list of mental illnesses that Americans are diagnosed with and treated for one reason. The definition of mental illness is something that is aberrant, something that is unusual, something that is not normal. We as a society are apparently growing so many narcissists, so many self-involved, self-absorbed, bright shining centers of the universe, that it's no longer considered so unusual as to qualify as a mental illness. Now, in the history of the world, the great chieftains, the great war leaders, the great conquerors have all shown a remarkable sense of pride in their accomplishments, regard for their legacy, and an utter lack of empathy for the damage that they caused in the service of their grand vision. Most of the great dictators and chieftains and war leaders in world history have in fact probably been narcissists. But now we are at a time in our country where there's an open question about whether America will still become America next year and the year after and the year after, because any democracy is an ongoing experiment. It continually self-generates or it dies. Will the United States continue to be a nation where people can be free to make the important decisions in their own lives without reference to some ideologue or ideology or ideal? Will America continue to be a place where a private individual can go their own course without having to worry about the power of government compelling them to conform to some grand vision? When I grew up in the 60s and 70s, I remember the assumption in popular culture was that conservatives were straitjacket trying to control you in and out of the bedroom, and liberals and Democrats were the free, tolerant, creative people. Well, if that was ever true, and I wonder, it ain't true anymore. A conservative has never told me what to eat, how to live, what to do with my body, what to put in or take out of my body. Maybe I haven't had the right conversations, but many liberals have. Many people with the best of intentions offer advice to everyone on everything. And there is this grand set of visions, these approved politically correct visions about what this country can become. A utopia, a land without poverty, a land at peace with the world, a land full of people going their own way, and so long as they don't violate anyone else or harm anyone else, doing their own thing without limit. A, that kind of freedom isn't freedom, it's license. B, that kind of society can't work. Economics, laws of human nature, and the history of the human race argue that all that does is it brings devolution and anarchy, or dictatorship. If people can no longer control themselves, they must be controlled from without, and that means by the government. We are at a crossroads. There is a political party that wants to redefine our relationship with our government so that our energy consumption is hyper-regulated, our electrical use is hyper-regulated, our diet is controlled. Now, some people might say, well, at least I don't have to diet because there won't be any choice. That's like the nutritionist I once heard back in the 1980s speaking glowingly about the calorie intake of Polish civilians in 1942. In case you don't remember, Polish civilians in 1942 were under German occupation at the height of World War II. They were eating starvation-level calories per day. So don't tell me that it is possible for a person's vision to cloud their judgment, a person's passion to deaden their common sense. Either this country is going to become a country dedicated to some grand vision that we all must conform to, that progressive utopian ideal where the human spirit is remade fresh, where the human economy is destroyed and then rebuilt again along rational and compassionate lines, or this will be an America that is recognizably American, where there are heterodox visions and multitude of views and diverse approaches to virtue and good and God and all of it. Are we wise enough to avoid narcissism, to avoid being blinded by our own desire to make a difference and do good? Unfortunately, in this election cycle, you cannot trust any Democrat, and you can probably not trust any independent to think carefully about the policies that they advocate as it impacts upon the constitutional relationship between citizen and government. Unfortunately, for better or worse, in this election, in this most ideological election in the last 100 years, it is probable that only a Republican candidate for U.S. President, U.S. Senate, and U.S. House will be consciously careful to try to reassert the primacy of the individual over the power of the government. I hope that you think about this, inform yourself, and come up with your own answers. God bless and be well.